walk it out. When I say that I'm walking out, dancing ain't what I'm talking about. Sitting, baby. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Got no pistol, got no clip. Got my it's crazy for me, cause I just feel different. Right now, it's like I'm to a point where I feel like, God, I should give you everything, and that's what I'm gonna do. I need you, Lord. I want you to use me. Just wrap me in your arms, Father. Yeah. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I want you to use me. Father, please fill me up. Sick of living thirsty, I need that water in my cup. I look out the window of my life, I see a prison. But for some reason, he gave us the right to be forgiven. And I'm no longer in the chains on me that I used to be. I feel like a drug, it's like a lot of people using me, abusing me. I usually let it get the best of me. Sick of giving half, Lord, please just take the rest of me. Devil was arresting me, had me in them handcuffs. Used to sit down, now I praise him with my hands up. Had the wrong running shoes, I was off track. Now I know where I'm running to and I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clip. Got my hands up to the sky. These rappers, they can walk it out. When I say that I'm walking out, dancing ain't what I'm talking about. Sitting, baby. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, I know I'm a sinner, Lord. Yeah, it's time for changes. Sick of my head hanging low like Lil Wayne's chambers. I'ma rock stages and angels while I do it. I'ma pull a Lecrae, yeah, and spit that Jesus music. I want you to move me, Lord, yeah, give me that energy. Take me to them places that I thought that I would never be. Caught up in the melody instead of the ministry. Jesus took the pain, broke the chains, and delivered me. We go into church, pray to God, yeah, we worship. Don't live what we preach and wonder why it isn't working. I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same shoes. We're walking the same road, I'm dealing with pain too. You don't know if he's real, man, I'm telling you he's gotta be. Need him like oxygen, everybody's the top of your lungs with your hands up. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yo, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again. Got a mind full of memories, a mind full of sin. I don't wanna be this way, but the things I do and the things I say lead me straight. Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything gets overplayed. Need another station, mind is racing, what's come over me? Sin has got me bad within, I'm battling like overseas. I don't just preach in my music, boy, so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the king. See you repping your chain, see you repping your dope. Money doesn't run, so tell me what you chasing for. Guys coming soon, better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols or them big gats. Yeah, I'm talking about the raps, and man, put your Bible up and yell it till it happens, hey. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms.
This song's dope. Thank you, God, for this new song. I'm always astounded by how many new songs God will show me. He'll just keep showing me new songs. There's just like so many good songs. God, I pray that you give NF courage to keep making good music that glorifies you. It's not easy. It's easy to give it.
Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms.
This song is great.
Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. So I want you to use me. Father, please fill me up. Sick of living thirsty, I need that water in my cup. I look out the window of my life, I see a prison. But for some reason, he gave us the right to be forgiven. And I'm no longer in the chains on me that I used to be. I feel like a drug, it's like a lot of people using me, abusing me. I usually let it get the best of me. Sick of giving half, Lord, please just take the rest of me. Devil was arresting me, had me in them handcuffs. Used to sit down, now I praise him with my hands up. Had the wrong running shoes, I was off track. Now I know where I'm running to and I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clip. Got my hands up to the sky. These rappers, they can walk it out. When I say that I'm walking out dancing ain't what I'm talking about. Sitting, baby. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. I know I'm a sinner, Lord. Yeah, it's time for changes. Sick of my head hanging low like Lil Wayne's chambers. I'ma rock stages, angels, why I do it. I'ma pull a Lecrae, yeah, and spread that Jesus music. I want you to move me, Lord, yeah, give me that energy. Take me to them places that I thought that I would never be. Caught up in the melody instead of the ministry. Jesus took the pain, broke the chains, and delivered me. We go into church, pray to God, yeah, we worship. Don't live what we preach and wonder why it isn't working. I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same shoe. We're walking the same road, I'm dealing with pain too. You don't know if he's real, man, I'm telling you he's gotta be. Need him like oxygen, everybody's gotta breathe. Man, you gotta see, everybody stand up, scream it at the top of your lungs with your hands up. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yo, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again, got a mind full of memories, a mind full of sin. I don't wanna be this way with the things I do and the things I say. Leave me straight, Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything gets overplayed. Need another station, mind is racing, what's come over me? Sin has got me bad within, I'm battling like overseas. I don't just preach in my music, boy, so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the king. See you repping your chain, see you repping your dope. Money doesn't run, so tell me what you chasing for. Guys coming soon, better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols or them big gats. Yeah, I'm talking about the rapture, man. Put your Bible up and yell it till it happens, hey. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms.
La bourse ou la vie, choisis bien.
Yeah, it's crazy for me, cause I just feel different. Right now, it's like I'm to a point where I feel like, God, I should give you everything, and that's what I'm gonna do. I need you, Lord. I want you to use me. Just wrap me in your arms, Father. Yeah. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Lord, I want you to use me, Father, please fill me up. Sick of living thirsty, I need that water in my cup. I look out the window of my life, I see a prison, but for some reason he gave us the right to be forgiven. And I'm no longer in the chains on me that I used to be. I feel like a drug, it's like a lot of people using me, abusing me. I usually let it get the best of me. Sick of giving half love, please just take the rest of me. Devil was arresting me, had me in them handcuffs. Used to sit down, now I praise him with my hands up. Had the wrong running shoes, I was off track. Now I know where I'm running to and I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clip. Got my hands up to the sky. These rappers, they can walk it out. When I say that I'm walking out dancing, ain't what I'm talking about. Sitting, baby. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, I know I'm a sinner, Lord, yeah, it's time for changes. Sick of my head hanging low like Lil Wayne's chambers. I'ma rock stages, angels, why I do it. I'ma pull Lecrae, yeah, and spread that Jesus music. I want you to move me, Lord, yeah, give me that energy. Take me to them places that I thought that I would never be. Caught up in the melody instead of the ministry. Jesus took the pain, broke the chains, and delivered me. We go into church, pray to God, yeah, we worship. Tell me what we preach and wonder why it isn't working. I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same shoes. We're walking the same road, I'm dealing with pain too. You don't know if he's real, man, I'm telling you he's gotta be. Need him like oxygen, everybody's gotta breathe. Man, you gotta see, everybody stand up. Scream it at the top of your lungs with your hands up. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yo, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again. Got a mind full of memories, a mind full of sin. I don't wanna be this way with the things I do and the things I say. Lead me straight, Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything gets overplayed. Need another station, mind is racing, what's come over me? Sin has got me bad within, I'm battling like overseas. I don't just preach to my music, boys, so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the king. See you repping your chain, see you repping your dope. Money doesn't run, so tell me what you chasing for. Guys coming soon, better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols or them big gats. Yeah, I'm talking about the raps, and man, put your Bible up and yell it till it happens, hey. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms.
Oh, God just wrapped me in his arms. That was a very good win. Above average. Alright, let's do it. Let's do this rap song. We just discovered this rap song like 10 minutes ago. I like it.
Right now,
I like it.
I'm to a point where
Alright, let's sing.
I should give you everything.
Alright, we're gonna link it. This song is called Wrap Me in Your Arms. And some people don't feel comfortable with the idea that a grown man can say, wrap me in your arms. I feel comfortable. Yeah.
It's crazy for me.
I want God to wrap me in my arms.
It's
It's crazy for me. I'm gonna say, it's crazy for me. It's crazy for me. Because I just feel different right now. It's like,
right now, it's like I'm to a point
where I feel like, God, I should give you everything.
And
That's what I'm gonna do. I need you, Lord. I want you to use me. Just wrap me in your arms, Father. Yeah.
Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms.
Lord, use me. Please fill me up. Sick of living thirsty. I need that water in my cup.
I look out the window.
Oh,
In your arms.
Lord, I want you to be, Father.
Please fill me up. Sick of living thirsty. I need that water in my cup. I look out the window of my life. I see a prison. But for some reason, he gave us the right to be forgiven. And I'm no longer in the chains, homie, that I used to be. I feel like a drug, it's like a lot of people using me. Abusing me. I usually let it get the best of me. But for some
oh, Oh, this is a... He's got some talent.
I look out the window of my life, I see a prison. But for some reason, he gave us the right to be forgiven. And I'm no longer in the chains, homie, that I used to be. I feel like a drug, it's like a lot of people using me. Abusing me, I usually let it get the best of me. Seeking if it had, Lord, please just take the rest of me. Devil was arresting me, had me in the handcuffs. Used to sit down, now I praise him with my hands up. I was off track. Now I know I'm running to it, I ain't going back. See,
Whoa. Had the wrong running shoes. I had the wrong running shoes. I was off track. Now I know where I'm running to, and I ain't going back. That hits me pretty hard too, because I actually ran with my running shoes so much during this coronavirus period that my running shoes has a hole in it now. So I need to buy new shoes. I legitimately need to buy new shoes. There's a hole in my left shoe.
My hands up, I had the wrong running shoes. I was off track. Now I know where I'm running to, and I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend that you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clip.
Oh, now that's the line of that. We put as our stream title because it's pretty cool. Because we're in this period of time where people are talking about, man, I need a gun. I need to protect myself. There's like coronavirus, like end of the world, it's apocalypse, right? And here this guy's going.
So I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clips. Got my hands up to the
Got no pistol, got no clips is saying, I don't have a gun and I don't have ammunition. So normally people, when they rap, are saying, I got 5 guns and I got plenty of clips. I got a clip for your mom, your dad, and your brother. Like they're like, I got so much ammunition. You better don't touch me or I'm gonna get you.
hands up, had the wrong place to take the rest of me. Devil was arresting me, had me in the handcuffs. Used to sit down, now I pray with my hands up. Had the wrong running shoes, I was off track. Now I know I'm running to it, and I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clip. Got my hands in the sky. These are rappers, they can walk it out. When I say I'm walking, I mean I'm saying what I'm talking about. Sitting baby.
I can't stop smiling at this.
So then I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clip. Got my hands up to the sky. These rappers, they can walk it out. When I say I'm walking out, dancing ain't what I'm talking about. Sitting baby, need you. Wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. I'm a sinner, Lord, it's time for changes. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, I know I'm a sinner, Lord, it's time for changes. Sleeping in my head, hanging low like little ants chained up. I'm a rock stages, angels why I do it. I'm a fool of the prayer, yeah, it's good that Jesus music. I want you to move me, Lord, you give me the energy. Take me to them places that I thought I would never be. Caught up in the angels why I do it. I'm a fool of the look like little rings.
I think this person wrote the lyrics wrong on this part.
I'm a rock stages, angels why I do it. I'm a fool of the I do it. I'm a rock stages, angels, why I do it. I'm a pull of the gray, yeah, and spread that Jesus music. I want you to move me, Lord, you give me that energy. Take me to the places that I thought that I would never be. Caught up in the melody instead of the ministry. Jesus took the pain, broke the chains, and delivered me. We going to church, pray to God, yeah, we worship. Proud of what we preach and wonder why it isn't working. I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same shoes. We walk in the same road, I'm dealing with pain too. You don't know if he's real, but I'm telling you he's gotta be. Need him like oxygen, everybody's gotta breathe. Man, you gotta see, everybody stand up. Screaming at the top of your lungs with your hands up. Lord, I need you. Jesus moves.
NF manages to just write these songs that are just so much fire, and it's like halfway through the song. Like there's still another half of the song. And I'm a sinner, Lord, it's time for changes. Sick of my head hanging low like little ants chained us. Sick of my head hanging low like little ants chained us. I'm a sinner, Lord, it's time for changes. Sick of my head hanging low like little ants chained us. I'm a rock stages, angels why I do it. I'm a pull the crazy and spread that Jesus music. I want you to move me, Lord, you give me that energy. Take me to them places that I thought I would never be. Caught me in the melody, instead of the ministry. Jesus took the pain, broke the chains, and delivered me. We go into church, pray to God, yeah, we worship. Count on what we preach, and one line isn't working. This part is saying, we go into churches, we pray, we do whatever, and then we worship, blah, 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 blah. And then we do the exact opposite of what we're preaching. We counter what we preach, and then we're wondering why it isn't working. We go into church, pray to God, yeah, we worship, counter what we preach, and wonder why it isn't working. I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same truth. We walk in the same road, I'm dealing with pain too. You don't know if he's real, and I'm a tell he's gotta be. Need him like oxygen, everybody's gotta breathe. Man, you gotta see, everybody stand up, screaming at the top of your lungs with your hands up. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again, got a mind full of memories of all the same. I don't be this way, the things I do and the things I say lead me astray. Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything gets overplayed. In another station, mind is racing, what's come over me? Sin has got me bad within, I'm battling it like overseas. This show I'm preaching music, boy, so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the king. See you repping the chain, see you repping the dough. Money doesn't run, so tell me wrong what you chase it for. God's coming soon, better get strapped. And I'm talking about them pistols and them big gats. Yeah, I'm talking about the raps and man. Put your Bible up and nail it till it happens. Hey, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Man, I want to be able to rap these raps today and have the oxygen to do the whole thing multiple times in a row. I'm going to just say it right now. You know I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again, got a mind full of memories of all the sin. I don't want to be this way, but the things I do and the things I say lead me straight. Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything it's overplayed. In another station, mind is racing, what's come over me? See, I got with everything, I'm battling like overseas. I don't just preach my music, boy, so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the king. See you repping the chain, see you repping the dough. Money doesn't run, just tell me what you chase it for. God's coming soon, better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols and them big gats. Yeah, I'm talking about the raps and man. Put your Bible up and nail it till it happens. Hey, Lord, I need you. Woo! I like this song. Thank you, God, for... Like, this rap was good. Like, if he just terminated the song right here, we're at the 3-minute mark, 3 minutes, 24 seconds. If he terminated the song right here, I would still think it's a masterpiece. And then it's got more verses. That's just... And then it gets spicy. Well, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again, got a mind full of memories of all the sin. I don't want to be this way, the things I do and the things I say lead me astray. Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything it's overplayed. Need another station, mind is racing, what's come over me? See, now I'm down within, I'm battling like overseas. I don't just preach for my music, boy, so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rap the king. See you repping the chain, see you repping the dough. Money doesn't run, so why you chase it for? God's coming soon,
better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols or them big gas. Yeah, I'm talking about the raps, man. Put your Bible up and yell it till it happens. Hey, Lord, I need your chain. If I don't take
I do like this the line Jesus gave, if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the King. Woo! Representing the King of Kings is an honor. How to represent a king is an honor, but to represent the greatest emperor of all time, that's an honor don't deserve. That's for real.
that doesn't mean a thing. If I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the King, see you repping the chain, see you rep so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean anything. If I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the King, see you repping the chain, see you repping the dough. Money doesn't run, so tell me what you chase it for.
I like this from an entrepreneur's point of view. Money doesn't run, so tell me what you chase it for is actually really, really funny because, like, let's be real here. There are a lot of people who are spending a lot of energy trying to make money, and I respect everyone has whatever. Do whatever you got to do, right? But if you just look objectively on the planet, there are people who make money when they're asleep. Okay, there are people who make their money when they're playing video games. A lot of the times we justify why we don't have time. We justify why we can't do this. I can't do that because I got to do this and I got to do that because I got to get chased for this. I got to chase that. We spend a lot of time chasing money, right? But then when you just look objectively at our peer groups, at other people who are in similar circumstances as us, they were actually able to get that money and then have that time. So what I mean is, a lot of us are like justifying stupidity by saying, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. When really we should just stop for a moment and rethink our life and re-strategy, say, okay, is there a product or a service that I can provide and sell that can actually make money when I'm asleep? And the answer actually is yes. Like it's like a known equation. So it's like on the left hand side equals right hand side. Right hand side is equals make money when you're asleep. Left hand side is equal what do I need to do to get to that outcome? The thing is, we know it's physically possible because it's already being done by other people. So when we are justifying, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, half the time we're just being stupid. We're just like not using our brains enough to think ourselves out of our situation and figure out new combinations, new strategies that would basically get what we want faster. Like, for example, you could spend your whole life working the same job and you can make, let's just say after 30 years, $1 million pre-tax. Okay? Like 20, 30, 40 years of your life, your career, working the same job. And that whole time we could have been like, I gotta justify that. But what if we just sat down for 10 minutes and we figured out, wait, how do we run a business that makes $1 million in year one? Right? I mean, it's been done before. It's not like that hasn't been done before. If you've got a brain, 2 arms, and 2 legs, you could technically do that whenever you felt like doing it. And so that there's an interesting little aside here when it's saying,
See you repping the chain, see you repping your dough. Money doesn't run, so tell me what you chasing for.
So the thing is, money, it's a lot of people do a lot of things and they're saying, I gotta do this, and they're doing the chasing part, but they're not doing the thinking part. It's okay to chase money, but if you're gonna chase money, why don't you just do it more intelligently? Why don't you do it smarter? You can get that money faster and then you can enable better life outcomes. But in order to do such things, we need faith. Actually, in order to run a business, you have to believe it's worth even trying. Belief, some people like to say, I'm only logical, I'm only rational. I don't believe in anything that I can't see. I only believe in evidence. Well, I feel bad for you because in order to change the world, you need to believe in things that do not yet exist. Like if you want to change the universe, you need to believe in something that has not yet been created. Like if you believe that, hey, if I did this business venture, it will be successful. You're projecting yourself into the future, and the future has no data. You don't have historical data to corroborate the future. So in order to change the future, we must imagine and we must believe. And so I'm it's not my place to like slap people down and tell people they're wrong or whatever, but I'm just going to warn people that people who are overly, I only listen to data, I'm only logical, I'm only rational, and I don't believe in things that I can't see, are in trouble, because they're not going to be able, they're in trouble in my perspective because they're not able to change the future as much as they could potentially, because belief is what allows people to change the future. If you believe you can change the future, you can change the future. You can't change the future intentionally. I mean, of course you can change it accidentally, but you can't change it intentionally unless you believe that, hey, it's worth it. You can't become the champion of the UFC unless you believe you could become it. You have that belief has to come first. So you need to believe you can become the UFC champion before you practice hard enough and you put in the extra hours. And even though you have no proof that what you're doing will make you a champion, the belief itself can push you closer to making that dream into reality. And so I do think we should consider, like I would consider, overturning that fallacy that belief and faith is useless and no, faith and belief is to see something, to think something is true, even though you don't exactly have all the corroborating evidence you would like to have. Sometimes you just don't have access to the evidence. When we're playing card games like Elder Scrolls Legends, I make a lot of judgment calls based off of faith. I basically cannot see my opponent's hand, and I take every incoming data input. I see what card did they just play, what turn it is, what is like the most likely thing. Like I have a built-in deck tracker in my brain. And so, but at the same time, when I make plays, I decide to use this card or use this card, I make my decision based off faith, based off of, I think, based off of this data, there's like a 20% chance he may have this. And so I'm going to make this move assuming that there's a 20% chance he doesn't have it, 80% chance he has it, so whatever. And then I'll choose and I'll risk it for the biscuit, and basically say, look, that's where I'm gonna put my money at. That's where I'm gonna make my decisions. So I hope that made sense. It may not have made sense, but maybe it made sense. And if it made sense, I'm happy it made sense.
Wait, the things I do, the things I say, leave me straight alone. I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything gets overplayed. Another station, mine is racing what's going over me. Sin has got me down within, I'm battling like overseas. I don't just want to look at my music voice so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rap the king. See you rapping the chain, see you rapping the dope. Money doesn't run, so tell me what you chasing for. God's coming soon, better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols or them big gas. Yeah, I'm talking about the rapture, man. Put your bottle up and yell it till it happens.
When he says gats, he's talking about pistols, because it's a firearm. Because I searched this up because he used the word gat before in another rap, and I had no idea what he's talking about. So thank God for the internet, because it helps us understand people we'd otherwise not be able to understand.
Put your Bible up and yell it till it happens. Hey, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms.
It's an honor to perform that song. It's an honor to have the time, to have the energy, to have the interest. All these things were given. Humans have a very limited ability to affect their own interests. And so, like, we can't really choose what we're interested in, and we can't really choose how much energy we have. We can try to maximize our energy by, Lord, give us strength. This will be a quick game. This is going to be a quick game. This is going to be a quick game. That's what I'm going to do. I need you, Lord.
Just wrap me in your arms, Father.
Wrap me in your arms.
Yeah. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms.
Lord, I want you to use me. Father, please fill me up. Sick of living thirsty, I ain't got no water in my cup. You know my life, I see a prison, but for some reason gave us the right to be forgiven. And I'm no longer in the chains, told me that I used to be. I feel like a drug is like a lot of people use
I'm out of air.
I usually let it get the best of me. Sick of giving half love, please just take the rest of me. Devil was arresting me, had me in them handcuffs, used to sit down. Now I praise him with my hands up, cause I'm on running shoes. I was off track, now I know I'm running, and I ain't going back. See, I would rather die. Was off track.
Our voice is gone, but we're gonna still go. We're gonna still go. Had the wrong running shoes. I was off track. Now I know I'm running to, and I ain't going back. Devil was arrested me, had me in them handcuffs. Used to sit down. Now I praise him with my hands up. Jesus. Down me.
Devil was giving half love, please just take the rest of me. Devil was arresting me, had me. Devil was arresting me, had me in them handcuffs. Used to sit down, now I praise him with my hands up. Had the wrong running shoes, I was off track. Now I know I'm running into it, I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clips. Got my hands up to the sky. Off track. Now I know where I'm running to and I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clips. Got my hands up to the sky.
Wow. I like my phone is bored. I like my phone is bored.
Wrap me in your arms.
Wrap me in your arms.
Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. I know I'm a sinner, Lord. It's time for changes. Sick of my head hanging low like little angels chained us. I'm sick of stages, angels, why I do it. I'm a pull of the prairie and spin that Jesus music. I want you to move me, Lord, give me the energy. Take me to the places that I thought that I would never be. Caught up in the melody, instead of the ministry. Jesus took the pain, broke the chains, and delivered me. We go into church, pray to God, yeah, we worship. Don't know what we preach, I wonder why it isn't working. I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same shoes. We're walking the same road, I'm dealing with pain too. You don't know if he's real, man, I'm telling you he's gotta be. Need him like oxygen, everybody's gotta breathe. Man, you gotta see, everybody stand up. Scream it at the top of your lungs with your hands up. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yo, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again. Got a mind full of memories, a mind full of sin. I don't wanna be this way, but the things I do and the things I say, leave me straight. Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Like,
Oh man, this is the best part of the song. I should say hi. This is a Privet. All right, here we go. Here we go. You ready?
Yo, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again, got mindful memories, a mindful sin. I I don't want to be this way, but the things I do and the things I say lead me astray. Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything gets overplayed. Another station, mind is racing, what's come over me? Sin has got me battling, then I'm battling like overseas. I just want to do my music, boy, so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but thought that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rap the king. See you rapping the chain, see you rapping your dope. Money doesn't run it, so tell me what you chase it for.
Guys coming soon, better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols or them
Big cats,
yeah, I'm
talking about the rap.
rapture, man. Put your Bible up and down until it happens, hey. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms.
That was interesting. Playing a hiss mage while rapping was not easy. That was some multitasking ability. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms.
Fucking shoot the overseas. I'm just preaching my music, boy, so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't
Take the gift that Jesus gave me and rap the king.
See you rapping the chain, see you rapping your dope. Money doesn't run, so tell me what you chase it for. Guys coming soon, better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols or them
Big cats,
yeah, I'm talking about the rapture, man. Put your Bible up and yell it till it happens, hey.
Lord, I need you.
Wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. It's crazy for me, cause I just feel different. Right now, it's like, I'm to a point where I feel like, God, I should give you everything, and that's what I'm gonna do. I need you, Lord. I want you to use me. Just wrap me in your arms, Father. Yeah. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. So I want you to use me. Father, please fill me up. Sick of living thirsty. I need that water
in my cup.
I look out the window of my life. I see a
Prison,
but for some reason he gave us the right to be forgiven. And I'm no longer in the chains on me that I used to be. I feel like a drug, it's like a lot of people using me. Abusing me, I usually let it get the best of me. Sick of giving half love, please just take the rest of me. Devil was arresting me,
had me in the handcuff.
used to sit down, now I praise him with
My hands up.
Had the wrong running shoes, I was off track. Now I know where I'm running to and I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clip. Got my hands up to the sky. These rappers, they can walk it out. When I say that I'm walking out dancing, ain't what I'm talking about. Sitting, baby, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. so you don't know if he's real, man. I'm telling you, he's gotta be. Need him like oxygen. Everybody's gotta breathe. Man, you gotta see. Everybody stand up, screaming at the top of your lungs with your hands up. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yo, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again. Got a mind full of memories, a mind full of sin. I don't wanna be this way, but the things I do and the things I say leave me straight. Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything gets overplayed. Need another station, mind is racing, what's come over me? Sin has got me bad within, I'm battling like overseas. I don't just preach in my music, boy, so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the king. See you repping your chain, see you repping your dope. Money doesn't run, so tell me what you chasing for. Guys coming soon, better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols or them big gas. Yeah, I'm talking about the rapture, man. Put your Bible up and yell it till it happens, hey. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wide street, these dangerous. I need your blood, please.
Sing, let's get it on.
I'm dealing with pain in this wonder. Yeah, we work. Just took the pain, broke the chain. Caught up in the melody instead of the ministry.
Jesus took the pain, broke the chains, and delivered me. We go to church, pray to God, yeah, we worship. Counter what we preach, and when the wine isn't working. I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same suit. We walk in the same road,
I'm dealing with
same too.
You don't know if he's real, man. I'm telling you, he's gotta be. Need him like oxygen. Everybody's gotta breathe.
Man, you gotta see everybody stand up, screaming at the top of your lungs with your hands up.
Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms.
Par les racines d'olive.
Wrap me in your arms. Yo, I've been to the top, been to the bottom.
Okay, here we go. Here
In your arms.
we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Yo, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again, got mindful memories of mindful sin. I don't wanna be this way, but the things I do and the things I say lead me astray. Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything is overplayed. Another station, mind is racing, what's come over me? Sin's got me battling, I'm battling like overseas. I just don't wanna push my music for so we can shoot the breeze. This music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the king.
See you repping your chain, see you repping your dope. Money, me and rep.
Woo! Hi, Martin. Bye-bye, Martin. I gotta recover my oxygen. My oxygen is yeah, whatever. Let the bat live. This is my favorite line though, and that's hard for me to. I run out of air by the time I get here.
That doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the king.
If I don't take that gift that Jesus gave me and rep the king. Mm. Pew! 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 Go, go, go. Aggression.
To a T, but that doesn't mean I'm fake. If I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and replicate, see you wrapping the chain.
See you rapping your dope, money doesn't run, so tell me what you chasing for. Guys coming soon, better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols or them big guys. Yeah, I'm talking about the raps, and man, put your Bible up and yell it till it happens. Hey, Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you,
Hi.
wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms.
What's up?
Wrap me in your arms.
Gangsta. I'm hardly gangsta.
Need you.
I'm from California, and if you didn't know that, Californians have been listening to gangster music for a long, long time. Gangster music. It doesn't matter if they're gangster or not. The music got to us through the radio when we were in kids, like high school and stuff like that. But this song's power, guys. I love it. I love it.
It's crazy for me. 'Cause I just feel
I think this is where we aggress.
right now, it's like
Me too.
I'm to a point where I feel like God, I should do everything. And that's what I'm gonna do. I need you, Lord.
I need you, Lord.
Just wrap me in your arms, Father. Yeah. Lord, I need you.
In our normally musically, I wouldn't say that we're very restrictive. Like, we like to celebrate different types of music. One of the things I really do like about God is He's taught me to appreciate music from different cultures, different languages even. So I've been singing songs in like Hebrew and like Arabic. And that's actually a telling sign of who Jesus maybe is. Jesus is not the king of just white people. He's not the king of just Middle Eastern people. If God was only the God of a specific group of people, it's thinking a little small, right? So the fact that people who are gangsta, quote unquote, can also appreciate and worship the same God is a very, very telling. For me, it's telling. For me, it means something. Like it's a warning sign. Like if you actually look at Shintoism, for example, Shintoism is the religion of Japan, native religion of Japan, and it has a problem for me. As a Chinese person who lives in America, Shintoism has nothing to offer. Like legitimately, the philosophy of Shintoism is like, we're just the religion for Japanese people. You go figure out yourself because we have nothing for you, right? And I don't want to single out Shintoism. It's not just Shintoism. If you just look at other people's philosophies they spread and you just ask themselves, do they even care about me? Do they even want me? Do they even care about my well-being? Do they want me? Do they have a place for me in their worldview? Or am I just a random person they can just throw into a pit and not even cry a tear? And so for me, just the ability of Jesus to cross boundaries, cultural, linguistic, socioeconomic, educational, these are all huge. And as I've been studying Jesus more these last few months, and I realized, wait a minute guys, Jesus was cool. I didn't know how cool Jesus was. I didn't realize Jesus had friends who were legitimately ballers. And then he was friends with people who had no friends. He was willing to be people's first friends. He didn't need to check out people's like stats and say, Can I check you out and determine? Can I see how many friends you have? Oh, who are your friends? Then make a decision. Oh, you've got 2,000 followers. You're cool enough to be my homie. God, Jesus wasn't like that. Jesus talked to people who couldn't talk. He talked to people who were mute. That means he legitimately went and made friends with people who could not even say a single word. That's my God. The guy who's willing to be friends with people that no one wants to be friends with. There's no gangster who's too gangster for Jesus. Strap! Big gas! There's no number of tattoos you could have on your body that would make Jesus unwilling to associate or take a selfie with you. You could have 10 teardrop tattoos on your face, and Jesus would look at you and he would call you, you're a person of great worth. That's my God. If you could have spent 25 years in prison, Jesus would still give you a hug. Jesus would still want to have conversation. And that's on some logical level. Every single person who is in prison for 20 years, they have a story to tell. They have a perspective. They are on some value really interesting. And every human being that's been on this planet is a living book. And that's crazy cool to me. And I think I'm going to lose to Unite the Houses. Now that I'm looking at what my opponent's doing, this looks a little suspect with all this random generation. Mud crab merchants. Moment de clairvoyance. This looks very suspicious. We better get going. We better just do something. All forces, we are under attack. All forces, we are under attack. All forces, calling for reinforcements. Calling for reinforcements. Calling for reinforcements. I just realized we're in danger. But Jesus, there is nothing that a person could do to make Jesus fail to see the worth in a person. That's a trait only God would possess. Human beings are judgmental as hell. And that's actually one of the clues into who Jesus' secret identity was because human beings, even the best, the Mother Teresa's of us, the Buddhas, the Dr. Gautamas, they could not see the worth in people. Confucius, Kongzi, when he wrote the Analects, so one thing interesting about Confucius, I was talking to one of his descendants recently. Think about, okay, right. Hold on. We're busy right now. We've got a mission. I don't even need to look at what we're gonna do, but we're gonna do something. Alright. Just see this. I actually need to care for this moment. Nobody. Oh, he's getting closer to the Unite the Houses. If he just arrests one of mine, I have to. He was getting really close to Unite the Houses. In fact, he might be able to activate it now with the one drop items. But Jesus sees value in people when the person themselves in question does not see value in themselves. A person might want to commit suicide. A person may think they are too far gone. A person may think that, hey, no one will love me. A person might think that I failed 20 times. I didn't even get my GE. I couldn't even get my basic education finished. Like, people can think that. And Jesus is telling them, homie, I know what you got in you. Whoa. That has a guard though. Need. Do we go for lethal? I think we should go for lethal. And if we're not getting lethal here, the most amount of damage is better, is the best way to do this. Yeah, let's go for the most amount of damage. Oh, I could have channel stormed him. I could have channel stormed that. Okay. Well, we lost lethal. So now we need to do option B. Just a good chance from that. Okay. It's close. It's close. So when I start describing Jesus, sometimes I'm wondering to myself, man, why do people hate him so much? Guys, why do people hate Jesus so much? I know people hate Jesus. And I think they're hating him wrongfully, personally. Oh, Lord, thank you for the strength.
Thanks for the lightning bolt. A lot of people hate Jesus.
And they don't realize that Jesus was pretty much the coolest human being that ever lived. That's actually an interesting thing, is when we ask ourselves, who actually is the coolest human being that ever lived? And if there was a coolest human being, what kind of traits would they possess? What would make someone the coolest human being ever? And if we take that thought experiment and we start comparing them to every person we know, and then we start looking at historical figures, I'll tell you that Jesus is in the running. Like, Jesus is legitimately in the running for being the coolest human being that's ever lived. Even if you don't think he's the coolest, he's at least within the ballot. He's like at least within the top 10. And what's really cool is the people who actually think he's the coolest aren't coming from just one demographic. They're not coming from the rich or just the poor. They're not coming from just the educated or just those people who life was perfect for them. No, the people who can vouch for Jesus as being the coolest person who ever lived are coming from Japan. They're coming from Africa. They're coming from New Zealand. They're coming from Zealand itself in the Netherlands. They're coming from everywhere. Cyprus. It can be surprising. They're coming from Elder Scrolls Legends. Man, I'm coming from Elder Scrolls Legends saying Jesus is cool. They're coming from Hainan Island. They're coming from Russia. East side, west side. They're coming from gangbang. Coming from prisons. There are coming from the scientific community. There's historians that think Jesus was the dopest human being that ever lived. There are philosophers who think Jesus is the coolest person who ever lived. It's the superlative. It's just like every demographic can be represented. And I do think that gives some kind of credibility. I should be very careful here. This looks frightening. Wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. It's in Namek. If I understand you're Chinese, you live in the US, and you someone who lived in Middle East. Traveling to Namek. I've never heard of Namek. Thanks for Namek. Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z. I think I remember this from Dragon Ball Z, but I barely remember. We knew this day would come. We knew this day would come. We are in trouble. Okay. Okay, what do we do here? Alright. I should have attacked. Sorry, guys. Sorry, fam. I just let us down. I let us down. I let us down. I should have attacked. Lord, I need you. Wow, that's... Hey, maybe you guys...
It's crazy for me, cause I just feel different. Right now, it's like I'm to a point where I feel like God actually gives you everything.
La victoire.
That's what I do.
C'était un valeureux combat.
I need you, Lord. I want you to use me. Just wrap me in your arms, Father. Yeah. Lord, I need you.
Thank you, God, for the victory. I hope you guys have a great day. I know it's embarrassing to talk about Jesus on some level. In fact, it's actually embarrassing to talk about anything. That's actually something that's kind of clear to me. If we just speak what we believe it's true, it's always embarrassing. And if we actually talk about our friends and how amazing they are to people who don't know them, they also think you're annoying. So it's pretty natural for people to actually think, shut up, when you're talking about anything. You could be talking about Floyd Mayweather, you could be talking about your favorite gamer. Try to talk to your mom or your friends or your brother or your compatriots or your coworkers about your favorite gamer. It's not going to end well. They'll tell you to shut up pretty soon. So if you talk about your favorite person, it doesn't matter if it's the coolest human being, it's still going to piss people off. And it's something that I just accept at this point. But there are people who are looking for friends. And to me, Jesus is a person who's willing to be every human being's friend. And he's available. You can't play Elder Scrolls Legends with your best friends because they don't want to play it with you. Their collection sucks. But Jesus will play Elder Scrolls Legends with you. He does play Elder Scrolls Legends with me. Oh, pas de bad. Interesting. Bonjour, BRB. Alright guys, we're gonna definitely try to perform this song afterwards. I'm gonna link the song. I like this song very much. And I hope you guys do too. Revenge, it won't be revenge. It'll be a rematch. But revenge needs a person to be angry at a person. Right? Hands up! I need you. Arms, wrap me in your arms. Whoa, whoa, in your arms. Oh, Here we go. I should not have put this here. Misplay, guys. Do not put things. He's very obviously playing a rage deck. Do not put things in the shadow lane that have 0 attack. I mean, don't even put anything in the 0 deck, because he can just Crusaders Assault us pretty easily. All right. Hold on. I kind of want to be respectful of my opponent's time. That's why I'm kind of playing cards, and because I'm about to wrap. And when I wrap, oh, we're breaking a rune. Oops. Oh well. Javelin? It's a javelin. Okay. Alright.
Bend to the top, bend to the bottom. Yo, I bend to the top, bend to the bottom, down with the pain, down with the problem. I'm back to the place again, got a mindful of memories and a mindful of sin. I don't want to be this way, but I think I do with the things I say. Lead me astray, Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything gets overplayed. Another station, mind is racing, what's come over me? Sin got me in battle, then I'm battling overseas. So boys, bass, king.
I just broke what I just talked about. Just put like 3 units in the shadow lane to get raged.
Happens, man. In your
It's crazy for me, cause I just feel different. Right now, it's like I'm to a point where I feel like God should give you everything, and that's what I'm gonna do. I need you, Lord. I want you to use me. Just wrap me in your arms, Father. Yeah. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I want you to use me. Father, please fill me up. Sick of living thirsty. I need that water in my cup. I look out the window of my life. I see a prison. But for some reason, he gave us the right to be forgiven. And I'm no longer in the chains on me that I used to be. I feel like a drug. It's like a lot of people using me, abusing me. I usually let it get the best of me. Sick of giving half love. Please just take the rest of me. Devil was arresting me. Had me in them handcuffs. Used to sit down. Now I praise him with my hands up. Had the wrong running shoes. I was off track. Now I know where I'm running to and I ain't going back. See, I would rather die than pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side. Got no pistol, got no clip. Got my hands up to the sky. These rappers, they can walk it out. When I say that I'm walking out dancing ain't what I'm talking about. Sitting, baby. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. I know I'm a sinner, Lord. Yeah, it's time for changes. Sick of my head hanging low like Lil Wayne's chambers. what we preach and wonder why it isn't working. I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same suit, we're walking the same road. I'm dealing with pain too. You don't know if he's real, man. I'm telling you, he's gotta be. Need him like oxygen. Everybody's gotta breathe. Man, you gotta see. Everybody stand up, scream it at the top of your lungs with your hands up. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yeah, Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Yo, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. Now I'm back in the place again. Got a mind full of memories, a mind full of sin. I don't wanna be this way with the things I do and the things I say. Leave me straight, Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio and everything gets overplayed. Needing
I'm just to say this since you said this out there. To me, God is pro-sex. God is not anti-ass grabbing. Now, grabbing asses that do not want to be grabbed, unsolicited ass grabbing is bad. Okay, but solicited ass grabbing in the appropriate situation, I think God totally approves of it. God created asses and He created hands. He wants us to use both of them. Okay. Interesting. I mean, he could have a red ear. He could have a red ear, right? It's possible. This is not normal. Having no cards in your hand, 20 magic ramp. Interesting. God gave human beings the gift of sex. God gave us the penis and the vagina. The penis and the vagina are gifts from God. Reproduction doesn't happen without a penis. Or it used to not happen. I mean, technically it still happens with the penis because you need to get semen somehow. I mean, technically you could skip that and just go straight to the testicles and then farm it. Okay, that was a little bit too much detail. But you get my point. To me, sex and everything in this life can be used at its highest potential or used at its lowest potential or somewhere in between. Like language, you can actually use language at its highest potential. You can use it to write poetry. You can use it to write raps. Raps are poetry set to music and performed and recorded. You can use language to encourage someone to say, hey man. You can use it to teach someone. You can use it to preserve information, critical data. Language could also make people kill themselves. It could actually accuse someone falsely. Someone is innocent and you accuse them of crimes they did not commit, right? And get them executed. Happened to Jesus. Language can be used for good or for evil or anything in between. Sex is pretty similar, right? Sex, if you rape someone, you're taking the gift God gave us, sex, and you're like taking away someone else's right to choose their sexual partners, and that in itself is not using that gift to its highest potential. Sex at its highest potential can involve ass grabbing. It could literally involve two consenting adults who are in love with each other. And I just keep thinking about superlatives. How can we make that experience even better? Like, what is the best ideal sexual experience? Is it a escort-client relationship? Probably not, because if you have to pay money for it, then it's going to be a little bit diminished, right? If you can have that relationship, a genuine, deep attraction, mutual attraction, and a love that lasts beyond youth, right? You're maybe like I imagine the best type of sex builds a relationship where when you're an old person and your partner is an old person, you can still smile and laugh, remembering those good old days, and then still have sex when you're older. And even though you're all flappy and flabby and like weird looking, with your body is decaying and becoming an old elderly, aging, that moment will still be actually precious and worthy. And so when we are looking for God, all we need to do is look for what is good.
and we look at what's around us and look at them as gifts, from God, and then ask ourselves, how can we use this to its fullest potential? If we're unable to see things as gifts of God, we should just look around ourselves and how can we use things to their fullest potential? How can we use language to its fullest potential? How can we use music to its fullest potential? How can we maximize our asset value? So how can we use the things we now have and take it to the next level? That, to me, is what makes God smile. And as a human being, I want to look for those. Look for those opportunities where I can make God smile and make myself smile. And ass grabbing is one of them. I like to grab ass too. Finding those things that make God smile and make us smile, and doing those things, like Elder Scrolls Legends, to me, is something that makes me smile. And I think it has the potential to make God smile too. Sometimes we wonder, what is God thinking? Well, let me put it this way. Let's pretend it's Christmas and there's a father giving a daughter a gift, and the father doesn't know what gift to give the daughter, so he just gives her like crayons and colored pencils. But he's a poor father, so he feels kind of bad because he's like, man, I wish I could buy her an iPad or an iPhone. I wish I could get her something cool. I wish I could buy her jewelry, but I can't. I can barely pay rent. So he can only afford colored pencils, and then they're not even like a special brand. The colored pencils at school are even better than the colored pencils that I bought her. Right? So this struggling dad's just feeling like shit. He's just like, oh man, I really love Anna, but I can't give her the best. But this is what I'm giving her, and I'm just nervous, right? It's Christmas, and I hope it's something, right? Maybe his father never gave him a Christmas gift. Maybe that this was an upgrade from what he'd experienced. But in that moment of tension, when the daughter Anna is opening that crayon, those colored pencils or what have you, the way that Anna, that girl, uses that colored pencils, that has the ability to make the gift giver smile. So if Anna takes those colored pencils, even though they're worse than the ones she has access to at school, and she takes them and she rocks them and she reps them and she uses them and she starts making all these beautiful drawings, putting them on ArtStation, getting them on Instagram, her father will be smiling like, oh man, my gift wasn't very good, but man, I'm glad she's liking it. I'm glad she's taking it to the next level. She didn't get limited by it. It's only 10 colors. It's not Prismacolor. It's not super fancy. It's not the 100 colored pencil brand. She's taking that, but she's rocking it, and she's making artwork that makes people with Prismacolor jelly. That's how I view God. If you want to make God smile, just take the things he gave you and use them to the fullest potential. Sometimes the things he gave us look like shit. Like sometimes the things that God gave us legitimately look bad. Some of us have been given the gift of blindness, and we're just like, what? You're joking. Blindness is not a gift. Man, you gave me the gift of this disease. You gave me the gift of that. You gave me the gift of being born in like a struggling family. Why can't you give me the gift of being born in a family that's everyone's kumbaya and everyone's logical? Why did you give me the gift of so many irrational family members? Yeah, that's right. But in the difficulty, that's actually the opportunity. For me, I believe that just compare two stories, story A and story B. In story A, you were born in a family that everyone was illogical. And in story B, everyone in your family was logical. And let me tell you what happens if, let's just put it as a metric, you became an entrepreneur and you started a $1 billion company. In both stories, A and B, who is more amazing? The person who had an irrational family and then became an entrepreneur and built a $1 billion empire? Or the person who had a perfect family and then was an entrepreneur and then built a $1 billion company? See, the two stories keep something the same, but you just change the first part. Then you start to realize, actually, every single time a challenge, a struggle, or a problem is being introduced into the plot line, it actually creates the opportunity
for the climax to be even sweeter. Doesn't mean it will always be sweet, but it creates the opportunity for it to be sweet. So for example, blindness may not seem like a gift, but blindness was given to Homer, the great poet, the Greek poet who wrote the Iliad. A story about the Trojan War, talking about swift-footed Achilles, Ajax, Odysseus. His blindness might have sucked. He wasn't born blind, but he became blind. But, man, did he use his blindness. He was blind, but he didn't let that handicap him. He used that and was like, look, I can't do things normal people do, so I'm just going to use it to the best of my ability. And so he worked on his memory. You know, when you're blind, you still got memory. He worked on his storytelling. You could still speak as long as you have a tongue. If both of your eyeballs were taken out right now, you could still speak. You could still make up stories. You can still be a master. And so, despite his blindness, he's head and shoulders above the other Greek poets. And so his blindness actually makes him more incredible, not less incredible. I am looking forward to talking to Homer in the heavens. I think it would be a great conversation. I would like to hear him perform his own work. And I don't understand ancient Greek. So it would be cool to hear him perform in ancient Greek. And I got translators going. Maybe I already know Greek. Maybe I installed the Know Ancient Greek package. We're about to eat lunch. I'm glad that you guys were able to hang out with us. Yeah, man, God created the penis and the vagina. In your arms. All right. So we're gonna go out of love for this rap, and hopefully shine some. I'm just hoping some way that I'm able to make God smile. I'm gonna perform again. NF rap, Me in Your Arms. I'm gonna link it. This song. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, run away as fast as you can and as far as you can. I respect everyone's ability to say my music is garbage. I respect everyone's ability to say you can't rap, you can't sing. Not gonna stop me. And it's crazy for me because I just feel different right now. It's like I'm up to a point where I feel like God, I should give you everything, and that's what I'm gonna do. I need you, Lord. I need you, Jesus. I want you to use me. Just wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, how to use me, Father, please fill me up. Sick of living thirsty, I need that water in my cup. I look out the window of my life, I see a prison. But for some reason, He gave us the right to be forgiven. And I'm no longer using chains, homie, that I used to be. I feel like a drug, it's like a lot of people using me, abusing me, usually letting get the best of me. Sick of giving, Lord, please take the rest of me. Devil was arresting me, hold me in the handcuffs. Used to sit down, now I praise Him with my hands up. Had the wrong running shoes, I was off track. Now I know what I'm running to, and I ain't going back. See, I would rather die and pretend you don't exist. Got my Bible on my side, got no pistol, got no clips. Got my hands up in the sky, these rappers, they can walk it out. When I say I'm walking out, dancing, that's what I'm talking about. Gotta recover, wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms.
a sinner, Lord, this time it changes. Sick of my head hanging low like little ants chained up. I'm a rock the stages.
I'm gonna redo that line. I think it's so funny. This sick of my head hanging low like little ants chained us. Man, that's creative.
And I'm a sinner, Lord, this time for changes. Sick of my head hanging low like little ants chained up. I'm a rock stages. That ain't just why I do it. I'm a pull a gray and spread that Jesus music. I want you to move me, Lord, you give me that energy. Take me to them places that I thought I would never be. Put me up in the morning instead of the ministry. Jesus took the pain, broke the chains, and delivered me. We go to church, pray to God, now we worship. Now what we preach and wonder why it isn't working. I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same shoes. We walk in the same road, I'm in the pain too. In the same road, in the same, so wonder why it isn't working. I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same shoes. We walk in the same road, I'm dealing with pain too. Don't know if he's real, but I'ma tell you what I be feeling like oxygen and everybody's gotta breathe. Man, you gotta see, everybody stand up, screaming at the top of your lungs, put your hands up. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms, wrap me in your arms.
As I recover, wrap me in your arms. I'll explain what wrap me in your arms even means to me. The reality is human beings like myself are super petty. We just keep getting distracted and caught. Like, people say stuff to us that really bothers us. We like, just walking in life, just going on Instagram makes us feel less secure. We're just like, man, are my abs hard enough? Wow, am I cool enough? Man, do I have enough followers? Huh? Like, it just, playing Elder Scrolls Legends makes it, man, oh, did I win enough games? Like, we get caught up, like, I naturally get caught up in all these stupid things that just don't really matter. They just don't matter. And this is why a person like myself could say, wrap me in your arms. This means, God, remind me what's really important. Show up. And the thing is, the thing about God and how we know God's even present is, and how do I experience God, is this idea that, let's say you're in situation A. So you're in a situation and it's not too good. And you're just like, man, this sucks. And then you invite God. You're like, God, show up. And then let's say nothing changes. So let's say situation A is still situation. But then everything changes. Imagine, so you're like in a situation where nothing changes, but then everything changes after you ask God to show up. And the thing is, for example, maybe you're not appreciative going in, and now you're appreciative and you start to see value, you start to get excited about things that originally you're not able to excite you. And when experiencing God for myself, it's like when I'm thinking about all these other stuff that don't really matter, they actually become my masters. They kind of enslave me. They control me. They actually are able to make me feel this way or that way. They kind of bully me. Like, my own thoughts can bully me. And the thing is, when I say, God, wrap me in your arms, after the wrapping in my arms, all of a sudden, all of those things don't bully me anymore. It's not perma shield. It's not like you press the button once and it's like activated and then you're like divine shield. I have ward permanently. That'd be interesting for a card design, but that is definitely not what happens. So it's more like you're in situation A, it's crappy. You invite God to show up, wrap you in your arms. He wraps you in your arms, and all of a sudden nothing changed about the situation, but then everything changed. You see the situation differently, you're smiling, you're enjoying it a different way, you're able to see opportunities, and you're able to capture, you're able to live and enjoy the moment you're in, even though 20 seconds ago you had not the ability because you were unable to see past the pettiness, all these grievances, all these things, all this dirty stuff that's just bothering us. And then after a while, when we start living our life again, we can feel the crushing weight of all these pettinesses again. And that's where it's like we get to build this idea. It's like, wait a minute, every time I ask God to show, every time I'm hanging out with God, it has that same effect. And so when I walk away from God, it's you feel, I'm able to feel the difference, like tangible difference in this respect. And so that's why he's rapping about this, and that's why I'm rapping about his rap. You know, I want to experience the rapping again and again and again and again and again. It's just such a better way of being alive. It's not like you get hugged. It's not like you get hugged and you can't move. It's like a hug and you can do other stuff. Like to use the example that was brought up, you could literally be grabbing ass and have God wrapping you in his arms. You don't need to be crying in a corner to feel God wrapping you in his arms. You could be rapping on the world stage and you could feel God wrapping your arms. You could be at work and you could feel God wrapping you in his arms. You could be in the middle of an argument that's turned really bad, huge miscommunications, huge misunderstanding, and you still experience it. That's a significant power worthy of being described. All right, here.
You know, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, dealt with the pain, dealt with the problem. I'm back to the place again, got a mind full of memories, a mind full of sin. I don't want to be this way, but the things I do and the things I say leave me astray. Lord, I just want you to take my sin away. Life is like the radio, and everything gets overplayed. I'm in outer space, your mind is racing, what's come over me? Sin has got me back within, I'm battling like overseas. I'm just a preacher, my music voice, so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean a thing if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rap the king. See you rapping the chain, see you rapping the dough. Money doesn't run and sell me. Tell me what you chasing for. God's coming soon, better get strapped. And I ain't talking about them pistols or them big gas. Yeah, I'm talking about the raps, so man. Put your bottle up and tell us till it happens. Hey.
Lord, I need you. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your arms.
Man, you could be on the battlefield in the middle of cutting someone's head off with your claymore, and God could wrap you in his hands. Wrap me in your arms. Lord, I need you. You could literally be in a gang shootout, and you could experience God wrapping you in his arms. You could literally be abandoned in a pit by your brothers, as Joseph was in the Bible. The book of Genesis says Joseph was thrown into a pit, abandoned by 11 brothers, and sold as a slave. God can still wrap you in his arms when that's happening.
Life is like the radio, everything gets overplayed. Now the station mind is racing, what's come over me? Sin has got me back within, I'm battling like overseas. Don't just want to picture my music voice so we can shoot the breeze. Got this music to a T, but that doesn't mean anything if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rap the king. See you rap the chain, see you rap.
I like that, and I like that. Jesus, if I don't take the gift that Jesus gave me and rep the king, represent the king, God is the King of Kings, and Jesus was the king, the prince who became a pauper, the king incognito, the king who went low key. Why did Jesus go low key? Jesus wanted to make real friends. Imagine you're a trillionaire and you're trying to make friends with your Lamborghini and Ferrari. Imagine you're trying to make friends and you've got like 10 hot girls behind you. Wow, I'm sure a lot of people would want to be your friend all of a sudden, right? But how do you know if they're your real friends? Right? So imagine if you were a king. God is considered the king of endless worth, meaning his net worth is endless. In human terms, he's more than a trillionaire. So imagine if you're a trillionaire plus, and you wanted to find out who your real friends are. How are you going to do that? Well, in the story of the Prince and the Pauper, the prince legitimately, there was a story of a prince who decided he didn't know who was his true friends, because as long as he was a prince, there's hundreds of thousands of people kissing his ass, trying to flatter him and trying to get access, privilege. Because if you're a prince, you can promote people, you can give people titles, you can give people land, you can exempt people from taxation, all this kind of stuff. So the prince wasn't exactly having it. He was kind of looking for true love. He wanted to find who his real friends were. And he knew as long as he had the crown on his head, he wasn't going to be able to find out who his real friends were. And so the prince decided to find someone who was poor, a pauper, a beggar, and decided to switch places and pretend to be a beggar to see who would be his friend. For who he is, not for what he has. And that's who Jesus is. Jesus is literally God, seeing who wants to be his friend, not for what he has, but who he is. I like to talk about this subject for a long time because I think it's such a beautiful story, and it's worth diving deep. There's so many ways to analyze, parse, and just get into it. I mean, if it's real, then it gets crazy. If it's fake, it's still pretty interesting. But if it's real, then you can start going. If that was a historical event, then you're going to have to. It's going to change everything, and I believe that Jesus coming to earth as a human being was very logical. It makes so much sense. It does not look logical at all if you do not look at a lot of evidence, corroborating evidence. When I say evidence, a lot of different lines of logic. Like, it's a complex thing. History is a complex thing. So if you look at things in isolation, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, for example, warfare doesn't seem to make sense if you look at it just at warfare. But if you look at everything, like fashion and warfare have a crossover. They do. Why do you think people wear fancy uniforms when they're soldiers, right? So sometimes people aren't multidisciplinary enough, I feel, to be able to appreciate the connections that lie between disciplines. Like, fashion and military are historically related, but if you just look at military in isolation of fashion, you're going to have a skewed perspective on what military is. And if you look at fashion without looking at military, you're also going to have a skewed relationship, because military definitely impacted fashion. And I gotta get my nutrition. But that, to me, if we just even see that paradigm, imagine God being a person of dramatic net worth, wants to see which human beings want to be his friend. How are you going to do it? Are you going to do it by flexing all your riches, all your power, and all your wealth? Probably not a really good idea, because it doesn't even work even as a human. Like, if you were a human being and you were a person of means, you're quite wealthy, if you just start flexing all that, you're just going to attract the wrong people, and you're going to not be able to tell who your real friends are. Pretty much. Okay, well, bye-bye. God bless. Oh, I want to pray, actually. Dear God, I pray for these people. I pray that for my friends that I've made on the internet, and people who are not my friends, my haters, and then people who are neutral, who are indifferent, the people who are the AFKers, who are smart, who just want to farm in-game resources. I pray that they have a wonderful day today. I pray that you give them a piece of enlightenment. Enlighten them about something today. Enlighten them about something that's meaningful and interesting to them. I know, God, you're interested in everything, but there's not one thing that we could be interested in that you are not interested in. And I pray that you're able to share that mutual interest relationship and have that awesome exchange of ideas between man and God. I pray that that happens in a very compelling, visceral, very exciting way that wow them today. Wow, give them something to be wowed for. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Bye-bye.